Today I'm going to help you pick the best civilization in the new Civilization Eras and Allies. And in this game, very early on, you'll be given this choice of, hey, which civilization would you like to be? And I know when I got there, it was a little bit unclear as to which one I should pick and why. So in this video, sponsored by the makers of Civilization Eras and Allies, I will use my literal years of city building wargame experience and my experience in this game, and in talking to people who played earlier on and have way more experience than me, to guide you into the best civilization possible. And wow, that was a mouthful for saying. You're going to leave this video knowing exactly which civilization to pick, and if you're impatient and just want the right answer off rip, I think Korea is the best civilization to start with. By the way, Civilization Eras and Allies has only launched regionally so far. You can still pre-register for some really sweet rewards that I featured in my live stream when I first started playing the game. So use the link down below in the description to pre-register for a bunch of free goodies, as well for when the game goes global. But I'm going to keep making guides, including maybe how to early access the game with VPN, in another video, okay? But use the link down below to pre-register or download. It's already available in Asia Pacific, and I plan to cover when it goes global as well. There's two reasons why you would pick a civilization at all. One is that you get the features of the civilization, which is basically buffs. You also get a unique unit. Now, at the start of the game, you're not as interested in the unique unit, although it does become more and more relevant the further into the game you get. You're most interested at the start of the game in the features. Now, you actually can switch your civilization initially for free. So you'll get one swap for free, and then the price of swapping will go up. The rules you can see on screen here. First swap free. After switching, there's a 7-day cooldown before you can switch civilizations for free again. Hey, just wait a week, switch again. Now, this is a season-based game. At least that's what I'm gathering so far. And so my understanding is that the civilizations and what they offer will change in later seasons of this game. But if you're a brand new player coming to this guide, these are the things you need to know, all right? So switching is easy to do, and you can do it for free every week, it looks like. And also the thing you care about is not as much the unique units, but it is the features of the civilization. So again, the reason we're interested in Korea, the first is increasing our tech research speed by 5%. That means the research that you do, okay, which you can see over here, is 5% faster. So I can open up the tech tree and I can show this to you. You get a time reduction, all right? The second thing you're going for is, I believe it's insight production. Now, I started, by the way, with Korea, money where my mouth is. I did all of this on stream. I'll link to it at the end of this video. I did it on my other channel where I have over 250,000 subscribers. By the way, consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. This is my dedicated channel to Civilization, Eras, and Allies, and there will be more videos. Every single week, there's going to be a bunch of them. So the academy in your capital, tech buildings yield 10% more insight. So you're going to generate more insight around your capital, and insight is what you use basically as the sort of equivalent of a speed up. Tap that for free. Yoink. So if I go back to my research, open the tech, you can see here this particular research is in flight. Insight is the currency you see in the upper right. Spend 1 insight to accelerate tech by 1 minute. You can see I've earned a bunch of that insight, and I can finish my tech instantly if I want using the insight. So at the start of the game, getting a jump on your tech is going to be really great, but you will notice, wait a minute, but Chiscool is not Korea anymore. Why is Chiscool America? So what I found is that my bottleneck to progress became my ability to capture tiles. Okay, tiles are what you are gaining to get resource production and a whole bunch of other benefits. You want to be able to capture higher and higher level tiles. You need to progress your heroes to do that. Well, gee, America does that with 10% extra hero XP. Beautiful, right? The thing you needed. In addition, America also gives you extra resource yield on improved tiles and also harvesting. So it says also affects harvest. Let's go get a look here. So harvesting is when you pick a tile, you're going to hit the harvest button and it tells you what it's doing here. Harvest allows you to obtain a large amount of resources all at once. You'll obtain 15% yield from the 6 tiles surrounding your territory. I don't know if that 6 tiles surrounding your territory, that 15%, is from America, because it said it also influences harvesting. But anyways, if we hit confirm harvest, what's it telling me here? The higher level of tile is, the greater the harvest yield. Oh, okay, no, it's not a part of America. Harvesting from surrounding territory results is 15% yield. Default harvesting time is 5 seconds. When the cooldown ends, harvest yield will be automatically sent to your storehouse. Multiple harvests cannot be performed in the same tile at the same time. Okay, so there's a bunch of information in here. Cool. Okay, so the other thing is that in order to harvest, it uses 3 of these little guys over here. It's like the quill and the ink container, which is an edict, okay? Now, we're going to talk more about edicts, but you generate edicts every hour, 1 per hour. And in order to harvest, you have to use up some amount of edicts here. So we are passively regenerating these edicts, and I'm showing you this now because harvesting is not just like something you just do all the time for free. It's something you can do to get a burst of resources at a cost of edicts. Okay, so you get 15% on harvesting, or you get a benefit to harvesting. I assume it's 15%. And then also, you get yield of improved tiles. Now, improving a tile is something kind of neat in this game. You can upgrade a tile to be all the way up to the highest level tile you have captured. You can see the little hammer icon on the tiles that have been improved. And I can further improve it because I actually have a level 8 tile now. Topic for a separate video, how I was able to grab one of those because it was way more difficult than all the other tiles that I was able to capture with a solo army. Anyways, all of these tiles that have been improved have a boosted production for America. So that to me felt like a really cool benefit to generate more resources for me with the tiles that I have, in part because my energy to go and get more tiles is constrained by the number of heroes I have, okay? So if we swing back to the bonuses here, that is why I switched to America. So in my estimation, it feels like a pretty good choice to start Korea and switch to America. But what I also want to do in this video is very briefly review all the other civilizations that you could switch to and generally what they're doing for you. The first I want to talk about is Greece. Greece gives you a militia training speed of 5%. That means that as you are training militia, which you can see here if I select my army, I'm full now, so I'm actually not doing anything, but in the left-hand side of the screen, it would show you the speed with which I am training militia. All right, so I'm all full here. I gotta go do something about that. Probably stuff I need to go do here. Figure that out later. Point I'm trying to make is that will accelerate the speed with which you train militia. In addition, capital and military buildings have a construction speed boost of 10%. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that construction speed would apply to something like, for example, the capital here. If I go to my city center, I think this would qualify as capital construction, ? And then the military buildings is kind of an interesting one. Either way, it's a war civ, and I don't have any military buildings that I'm really doing here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I have to do more digging into that, but I know that it's not the benefit I need. Neither of those are at the start of the game. And don't you worry, I'll do more advanced guides later on once I've experienced more of the game. Okay, then there's China. Okay, reduced military training cost. So the cost to get the militia going is reduced by 10%, and the march speed from your capital is boosted by 20%. I'm not even entirely sure when this would be like the civ to use, but it's not the early game. This is my capital. Marching 20% faster from here is neat, but I don't know the context in which that would be the most important thing to me. Egypt feels like a civilization designed to take hits. You recover 3% of troops immediately after combat. So like I said, you take a hit, ready to fight again, okay? In addition, your capital and military buildings have an endurance of an extra 10%. Buildings have endurance. You don't want the endurance to hit 0. I think at that point they're destroyed. So it feels like a defensive civilization when you're going to take a bunch of hits. England, on the other hand, is an interesting one, and is one that maybe I would switch to mid-game, ? So this is going to give you an extra construction queue, something you don't really need in the early game because your biggest constraint will be resources, and often you will find yourself doing instant production rather than actually having long queues. So getting an extra queue would be great once you reach a point where you have the resources, etc., to actually just keep cranking things out. I'm not there. Okay, I think maybe after like chapter 11 of your progression, maybe this starts to get more interesting. That's when I think I decided to make that switch to America. But the other benefit you're getting is a silver yield of 500 per hour for each player city you own. So at the start of the game, you're just going to have the 2 cities. And the thing that you can do with that silver is actually kind of neat. So when I go to recruit, I can go to standard recruit over here. This is where I can use silver to do these recruit, which like, okay, so like what What is the loot table? Rewards and odds. Well, it's epic heroes. And current, yeah, no, it's all epic heroes, actually. So if this is what you want, then okay. But I don't know. The silver currency to me feels like for now, it's not the most important thing. Maybe there's some other stuff you can do with the silver currency. I don't know. I'm going to have to mess around with this more. For the sake of the vid, let's just do a recruit 10x rip here. It all converts into the currency that you need to put skills onto heroes once you own those heroes. So I guess that's the advantage of getting lots of the silver, is that then you can use it to do upgrades in here. Boom, right? That said, like, I don't know. I've been in this only for a small number of days, and I've already got almost max skills, I believe, on some of these heroes. So we're kind of like chilling. But that is what the other benefit does. Okay, worth mentioning for England. Now we go to France. So France makes it so that after battle, 5% of lost troops will be converted into free militia trainers. I believe that a free militia trainer removes the resource cost of training new militia. I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments how powerful that is for combat. You also, however, get an edict recovery time of 10%, which does feel pretty powerful to me. So that means what? You have 60 minutes in an hour. You get 1 per hour. So you'd get 1 every 54 minutes instead. So over the course of the day, you get a couple extra edicts, 2.4 extra edicts per day, technically, right? I think that if you reach a point where edicts are your bottleneck, could be cool. That said, that's not me right now. I suspect this is more of a wartime thing for wartime related functions that you're using your edicts for. So I don't think this is a good starting civilization either, which brings us to Germany. Now, Germany is very obviously not a starting civilization. Lightning fast. When capturing other players' tiles, you increase hero siege by 13. So this is the rate with which you diminish the durability of a tile. It's not called durability. What is it called? It's called endurance. The location that you're attacking has endurance. Hero siege is going to determine the rate with which you diminish that endurance. And then the capture speed is how fast you capture it after the endurance has been reduced to 0, I believe. Which, like, I don't know. I haven't done much PvP. Maybe your server will be different, but this isn't something that I felt like I've needed. This also does a construction cost for your capital of 3%, which seems really solid, but I don't know. Construction cost certainly is relevant, but I feel like the benefits I'm getting in other places is better. Like that hero XP seems really good from America. Okay. And then finally, we've got over here, Japan. And you reduce the damage you take from morale drop. So morale drop's a little bit confusing, but like when you go out for like jumping around between multiple tiles, you lose morale. I think it's like a small percentage of your troops that you lose when that happens. Long story short, I haven't needed this. I don't think you will either at the start. There's probably some perfect situation where you would though. What I will say would be nice is capital army AP recovery of 5% is really nice. My bottleneck is in part my AP, so unironically, this would be a pretty cool civ to take as well. Actually could be pretty good in the early game for recovery. The thing is that you can probably spend your way around this problem because heroes have their own AP bar, right? And so you could improve your recovery of your best armies, or you could just have more armies. If you are spending, that could be a really powerful solution to that problem. Yeah. Same is true. Like, I almost feel of like the hero XP over here is like maybe a way around that is simply to go in and have, just like more heroes to work with. But that's not the same as leveling up faster. Anyways, that gives you a pretty good sense of what to do in the early game. Go Korea to start, switch to likely America as your next pick. Potentially, I suppose you could do Japan or England, but I'll update the pinned comment if I've got any other thoughts or suggestions. If you do want to check out the game, use the link in the description to download. Big thank you again to the makers of Civilization, Eras, and Allies. I've been having a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss my next video walking through how to play the early game, because that's what I'm doing right now, and this channel is dedicated to that. And if you want to watch the live stream where I went in and made this account, check the card over here. All right, this is on my other channel where I have 250,000 subscribers, but this one, subscribe to it. It's dedicated to this game, Civilization, Eras, and Allies. All right, see you in the next vid.